In the upcoming video clip of Noam Chomsky, he is more critical of Leninism than Marxism, which he sees as a departure from core Marxist ideas. While Chomsky finds value in Marx's critique of capitalism and his analysis of class struggle, he criticizes the more dogmatic and deterministic interpretations of Marxism. Now off to this wonderful video of Noam Chomsky.
In the mid-70s, many people in the West thought that Marxism had a reasonable case to argue. But in the mid-1980s, many of them no longer considered that it had. What exactly happened? Did it turn out that it was all just a big joke?
Well, I think what happened is what you brought up before. Marxism was associated with the Soviet Union and Maoist China and other so-called communist systems. But, Marx would have turned over in his grave to see what they were doing. They were radically anti-Marxist, radically. But as long, like take, say, the way the Bolsheviks, Lenin and Trotsky, decided they had to drive the backward peasantry to industrialization by force in order to lead ultimately to a socialist society. In the last 20 or 30 years of his life, Marx was working on peasant society in Russia. There were the Narodniks, the urban intellectuals went out to the countryside to collect information, to figure out how the peasants are living, and so on and so forth, try to assist them in things. And they collected tons of data. And Marx was just poring over the data. And he became convinced that there's real revolutionary potential in peasant society, peasant communes, peasant cooperative tradition, and so on. The urban socialists, both the Bolsheviks and the Social Democrats, literally suppressed all that work. It was just too inconsistent with their own class interests of controlling social movements. So that was gone. And the same is true across the board. I mean, I'm not, again, kind of like Adam Smith, you can't worship Marx, but he had things to say. And what he had to say, what he believed, was utterly inconsistent with what are called the communist socialist movements. Even more the communist than the social democratic ones. After all, he believed that in England, that's the social democratic society of his day, that there could be a parliamentary road to communism. Because there was enough participation of the public in decisions. But in any event, once you associate Marx with Russia, and it's clear that Russia is becoming a disaster, as was becoming clear by the 80s, well, of course, then you have to say, let's give up Marx. And I think that's essentially what happened.
Thank you. Chomsky particularly criticizes the concept of a vanguard party, a small, elite group leading the revolution on behalf of the working class. Chomsky believes this approach concentrates power in the hands of a few and undermines the agency of the working class itself. He views Lenin's approach as historically unsuccessful, comparing it to state capitalism rather than true socialism. In short, Chomsky appreciates some aspects of Marxism but criticizes its authoritarian tendencies, which he sees Leninism as an example of. He emphasizes worker participation and agency in any socialist transformation. Well, I hope you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. Please check out my other channel, Progressive Movement, and give it a subscribe. That would be appreciated. Now, take care and bye-bye.